Good evening, everyone. Welcome to North Liberty City Council meeting on Tuesday night, March 10th, 2026. Tracy, could we have roll call, please?
Fortney.
Here.
Leibold.
Here.
Park.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Wason.
Here. Thank you. Item 3 is approval of the agenda. There are no changes. Could I have a motion for approval, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Wason, seconded by Fortney.
Yep.
Are there any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Item 4 is our consent agenda. Anything on there worth questioning? Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Park, seconded by Wason. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda carries. Item 5 is public comment. Now is the time for anyone in the audience wishing to address council on something that's not already on our agenda with public comment. Seeing nothing but professional visitors out in the audience, I will close our public comment, unless, Tracy, there were any online. All right. Item 6, Josiah, is our engineer's report, please.
Thanks, Mayor. One quick update for you tonight. I just wanted to follow up, I think from last meeting, Forever Green Road and Jasper improvements, the roundabout, the pre-con meeting will be occurring this Friday, which is good. So we'll get that started. The late start date is April 6th, but we expect probably within the next 10 days, 14 days, that work will start. So we're getting close. So that's good. I wanted to there was a question on the roundabout and particularly about the SIPCO pole down at that intersection. There's a very large pole and where that is in the roundabout. On your screen in front of you, you can see that that pole will be in the, I guess that'd be the southwest corner of the roundabout there, that red circle. So the roundabout in the road, you know, today as you drive towards Tiffin, you come to that T intersection, right? And you got to take that big left. And so what's going to happen is this will all be straight aligned, right? So the pole will be off to the left, outside of the intersection, outside of the sidewalk and everything. But there were some questions about how that works, and it's kind of wonky with the geometry, but that's where it lays out. So. Mayor, that's all I have for project updates tonight.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions?
Nope, just appreciate that. I've actually had people are asking, where's that poles in the middle of the road? And I said, no, we took care of that a long time ago.
Yeah.
So,
Technical term, wonky?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just make sure. Thank you.
Engineering 101. Ryan, we'll move on to item 7, which is our city administrator.
Okay. Thank you. A few things from me tonight. First, I want to make you all aware that we did submit last week to Miller Meek's office a $3 million request jointly with the city of Coralville for the next phase of the Forever Green Road East project. So as you all know, and as Josiah has previously reported on, phase 1 of that project, which also received federal funding from through Miller Meek's office, will kick off later this year. And we're hopeful that phase 2 will also have a significant amount of federal funding tied to it. We should know probably within the next month or so on that request, maybe 2 months. But the timeline for that was very tight. We found out that the application period, it opened on a Friday and closed on the following Friday. So closed, we had 1 week to get that in. Fortunately, because of the previous work on this, we were able to get that done, and special thanks to Tracy for carrying the water on our end, and then of course Coralville also had some work to do. So we got that in, and we're hopeful. I would also mention, with this nice weather, we've had some folks asking about leaf pickup. Of course, we all get a little excited when we get to 70+ degrees in early March. Michael and his team do plan to start leaf pickup this year, March 30th. So towards the end of the month. That generally runs for 4 weeks. And again, that'll be a little bit weather dependent if we have to extend that out a bit, if we would get a late snow or something like that. And of course, we'll have this on our website and social media channels, but just a heads up for folks who may be inquiring, or if you're talking to anyone, we're looking at starting that later this month. And then the last thing I wanted to note, just on our next at our next council meeting, we will have a separate meeting just for the budget public hearing. That's March 24th. So we will start our meeting at 6 p.m. As you might recall, for those of you who were here last year, we will have on that agenda just strictly the budget public hearing. Then we'll have to adjourn that meeting and start our regularly scheduled council meeting for that evening. So look for that in your packet for the next go-around. Other than that, Mayor, that's all I have unless there are any questions.
Could you remind, or just about this application that Tracy needed to turn around in a week here? How many letters of recommendation did we receive, and who were they from in the community, just as a sample?
Sure. I believe it was there between 15 and 18. Sorry, I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but we were very appreciative to get letters from the University Hospital, the University Research Park, Steinler, Green State, a lot of folks who obviously depend on that Forever Green Road access. In the Greater IC, as another example, there are others that I'm forgetting. If you were prompting me to name somebody in particularly.
No, I did not.
Okay.
There was a lot more to it than an application, and a lot of people put time in for doing that. So that's all I had. Does anyone have any questions for Ryan?
Ryan, just one question from me. You mentioned the leaf cleanup days. Do we have dates on the spring cleanup I just know that folks are going to start asking about that as well.
Yeah, that's always the last Saturday, right? Last Saturday.
Yeah.
Last Saturday in April.
Last Saturday in April.
Yeah, it is the 25th.
25th.
25th, thank you.
Anything else? I'll move on to the mayor's report. Just a couple of calendar things. This week, Saturday, finally, the Optimist Club's pancake breakfast is here. I didn't want to miss it because I prematurely announced it last month. And I was really happy to see the accounts payable in the packet. So as much as we might have some growing pains on this Civic Plus, but I think it's a great technology. I think it's really a helpful tool for the community to see the bills that we're paying. Always have, but it's nice to have that transparency in there like that. And then I guess personally, professionally, I had an opportunity last Friday over the noon hour to speak to the Johnson County Affordable Housing Coalition. They have a monthly meeting on the last Friday of the month, and this month's topic was solar energy. So I talked to them, but they had a lot of other great topics. So if you have that maybe already on your calendar or put it there, it's noon on the last Friday of the month. They have speakers, some not as good like they had this past week, and others that are much better than me. So if you can make it, they're great events to attend. And I wanted to highlight just a few things that were in our packet. I know that you all read it. Anybody out there in the audience, and you're all the ones in the packet that I'll talk about. But for the community, there's a lot of great information about what our staff is doing towards the end of the packet. It happens once a month in there. And there were a few highlights that I wanted to pull out. In number one, our community relations department and everything that they have been doing to promote and to fill and to book that Hy-Vee center over the past couple of months, and what they're forecasting for this summer. It's been a real surprise. It's been very well received in our community, and thanks in no small part to their efforts out there. And we're also, I think, still accepting an application for a part-time event person out there to help out. So if you're interested. There was a lot of information in there from our library department. And if you've been to our library, you know the resources that are there. But if you haven't been there, it's not just a place it's dry and boring for getting books. There's so much information in our packet about what they are doing that represents weeks and months worth of work, and really just connecting our community. Whether it's kids events, whether it's community events. They have authors that I'm pretty sure my daughters are going to be familiar with that are coming in next month that sold out in minutes to being there. So a really a popular place to be in our community. They also highlighted some of the concerns that we see happening at the state level that will impact our city's libraries and how they might relate to our relationships with our school districts that are around us here as well. So if you haven't read that, take a moment to do so. And a neat thing in there is that they have become the collection point for historical information for the city of North Liberty. There's a lot of great information out there, and they're the collecting agent for that. And finally, I wanted to highlight a number of things that were in that part of the packet related to our police department. Number one, we get requests by Eagle Scout candidates a lot over the years, and they're usually directed to Guy, and then they get filtered through other departments. And one of the projects that was highlighted was an Eagle Scout project in the police report, because an Eagle Scout, Cameron Duncan, wanted to make address signs for businesses so that first responders might know right where they are. So if someone's having a medical emergency at a business, there's a red sign right inside the doorway that says the address of that business and where it's located. So it's in an effort to promote quicker response and easier response for our first responders. So thank you, Cameron, for coming up with that, and all of our city staff for putting that together and helping him out with that. I also wanted to congratulate Chief Eniga and everyone there at that department. This last couple of years have been a real opportunity for her and them to shape the future of that department. You saw in the packet, there continues to be a lot of training provided, hiring that's going on, training that they have to go through and how much that costs as well. So I'm really grateful for all of them in that work that they're doing there. And finally, I think the highlight of that packet, and specifically to our PD, was welcoming 3 new sergeants into our department. So for those of you that aren't familiar, our department is run with a police chief, 2 lieutenants, and 4 sergeants. And we've been without 3 sergeants sporadically here for the past 6 months. So those have all been filled. So Creighton Regenweather is an existing sergeant. He will still be there, but he was joined by Sergeant Brian Davis, who came back to the department, has been with us collectively for 11 years, and brings a lot of leadership and just knowledge of the city. And I'm incredibly grateful that he is now a sergeant on our staff. Sergeant Bruce Sexton has been with the city for 10 years, and you kind of would think Bruce is already a sergeant. He has that kind of leadership about him. So I'm incredibly grateful that he's now being officially recognized. And finally, Sergeant Brent Gibbs just came to the department last year, but brings a ton of experience in law enforcement to North Liberty, and we're grateful to have him here. And just the fact that he is now in this leadership role as a sergeant on the PD speaks to his character, speaks to what others on that staff and in that department think of him as well. So I wanted to congratulate those newly hired sergeants. With that, I will end and move on to council reports. Now is an opportunity for our council members to let our community know what they've been doing on behalf of the city when not sitting up here at a council meeting. No particular order.
I can go first, I guess. So I attended League of Women Voters Legislative Forum, which was the first time I've been to one of those. It was very well attended, I think. Great input from community members with the focus on clean water in Iowa and ways to remediate and help Iowans with that. I also attended a Night of 1,000 Dinners, and it was International Women's Day was what it was recognizing. It was held by the Johnson County United Nations Association with their focus on affordable housing. Excuse me. They recognized several organizations, and I don't have them at the top of my head with who they recognized, but really helping to shed a light on the needs and where we want to go with these organizations and participating and stuff.
Thanks for
And then I forgot, I did go attend the Quick Star ribbon cutting over on North Liberty Road. It's the second Quick Star in North Liberty, so that was a good time too.
So thanks for going to that dinner. We don't oftentimes get someone that can make that, so I appreciate you doing that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I can jump in here. Busy couple weeks for me. Mayor attended with Tanya the Quick Start ribbon cutting, so congratulations to those folks for their second location in North Liberty. Number of opportunities to get together for coffee. I did meet with one potential business exploring the opportunity, maybe moving their location to North Liberty. So I can't leak a whole lot right now, but it was a very healthy conversation on the continued growth of North Liberty. Attended the Greater Iowa City Build Johnson County session with Russ. Really nice job. Thank you for your efforts and your comments there. Wanted to say thank you to Greater Iowa City for hosting that event, and then also for their efforts with our continued coffee connections and lunch connections. Last Friday, I attended the Collins Community event for coffee connections, and that was very well attended, probably 25, 30 different individuals from either North Liberty, new residents, businesses, potential businesses. So continue to enjoy those sessions. And then the last cup of coffee that I had was with Lakeisha Jackson from Dream City, and look forward to continuing to build that relationship. She's asked me to volunteer for some of their upcoming events that they have, and I have already committed to doing one of them. But it just serves as a reminder that with all of these events that go on, whether they be city slate events, whether they be Night of a Thousand Dinners, Dream City, different opportunities, that we as individuals can either contribute our time, talent, or treasure. And so just wanted to make that plug, whether you want to get involved at the city level for some of the city slate events that we have coming up. I know they're always looking for volunteers. We've got a number of things going on this summer, spring and summer. If you don't have the talent or the treasure, time is always a very well received opportunity to give back to the community. So just want to make a plug for those folks that are looking for volunteers. And yeah, a couple busy weeks for me, Mayor.
Thanks, Brian.
I'll jump in, and I also attended that Build Johnson County event put on by Greater IC at the ACT campus, and I appreciated Russ took the opportunity. Generally for those, we're sharing with everyone else about what North Liberty's been up to, the projects we have coming up, and Russ took his time to promote development opportunities that are in North Liberty. So I thought he did a great job, and I appreciated that. And I'm also proud, this council and this staff are constantly out in the community trying to promote North Liberty, and I'm proud of everyone for that. I got to give a shout out. Have fun exploring the packet, like you were saying, and the library I just got to give a shout out to the North Bend Historical Society. So I made my way to the library's website and was poking around on some of the stuff that they've archived that has to do with the history of North Liberty, and it's pretty great. I recommend you taking some time and doing that. And I was also happy to learn that the city, before it was North Liberty, was referred to as Squash Bend, and I had no idea that was the case. So learn something every day.
Trivia with Paul.
Yeah. I attended an event with Marionette, Representative Marionette Miller Meeks, and she was just talking about the work that's being done federally, and I'm always just trying to, keep North Liberty on her radar, and the ribbon cutting at Quick Star. I'd like to thank them for every time they open a Quick Star, they donate $2,000. So we got $1,000 to the Centennial Center and another $1,000 towards the Firefighters Foundation. So generous folks, and we appreciate them. And that's what I have.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Mayor, big thanks to the Iowa City Area Sports Commission for all of their work the last few weeks, getting some wrestling here in town at the Palestra. Poked my head in there for a few minutes. I know Paul did as well, just to see how that event was going. That was a big draw, and that would not have happened without the work of Josh Schomburger and his team at the Sports Commission. So we appreciate that. Also attended the NCAA women's wrestling meet there in Coralville at Extreme Arena, again put on by that team, and was able to talk to a few folks out of town that were more than excited to be in Coralville and in this area in general. Two of those individuals had made it over to Palestra to see some of the younger kids wrestle prior to the NCAA event. That was the inaugural NCAA Women's Wrestling Championship. So for that to be that close and have that partnership, and just reminding folks that not only do we have current venues in North Liberty, but some yet to come that we would happily fill with these types of events in the future. So laying that groundwork this weekend was a lot of fun.
Don't have too much else to add other than been the quick star already twice today. And just upcoming events, please go to the city website and look at that. There's a lot of stuff coming up. And an event this actually Thursday at the Centennial Center from Orchestra, Iowa. So I went to the one last month and it was amazing, the sound of that building. So
Thank you all for your time. Item 10 is a Cherry Street Firehouse project update and Parks and Water Utility Maintenance Shop expansions. And item A is that update regarding proposed firehouse project, water facility expansion, and parks facility expansion project. Who's going to lead us?
Well, I will introduce our Shive team. We have, you all know, Natalie Opendahl, who's been very active on other projects in North Liberty, including the building we're in and Centennial Center. And then Andrew Avara is from their South Bend office, and he is their fire department specialist. So they have a brief presentation this evening to talk a little bit about kind of where we're at right now and what we need to do to move forward for the fire station project, but it also includes some expansions within other departments to accommodate the fire station project. So I'll turn it over to Natalie and Andrew.
Thanks, Ryan. So as Ryan said, I'm Natalie Uppedahl, architect at Shive Hattery. Seen all of your faces a few times here. So Andrew with me, he's the project manager as well as the content expert for fire stations for this project. So we just want to talk a little bit about what we've been doing since the last time we updated you and the last time we talked, where things are going, and then kind of the schedule for how we're planning on to continue through the design and the construction of these projects. As far as progress goes on the fire station, so last time we talked, this was one of the plans that we had discussed where we were looking at a two-phased approach, and the building would continue to be occupied by the fire department while construction was going on. There were obviously some concerns with that. When we started design, started really getting into the design of the fire station, one of the first things that was brought up was, is there any benefit to being able to temporarily relocate the fire department so that we could do the construction for this project all at one time? So we looked into that. We actually found a number of benefits to relocating them and taking over the site all at one time. We could save 6 months in the construction time of the project, which we found pretty substantial. We could also, by mirroring the floor plan, we were actually able to get 7 drive-through bays into this fire station, whereas we were only able to get 2 previously. So that was a significant benefit. This also allows the existing parking to kind of remain relatively located where it is now. And, so we're logistics of the public coming to the station doesn't change a whole lot. But the benefits to the fire department in general is substantial. So again, as far as the floor plan goes, we were able to mirror that. We do get the additional mezzanine space over the support off of the apparatus bay, so the additional training space and everything that we were talking about previously. We're still getting all of those components in. We're just able to have those additional drive-through bays and some additional community engagement kind of at that north corner of Cherry and Front. So again, second floor, the floor plans realistically haven't changed a whole lot other than mirroring. Just wanted to show we were still getting that mezzanine space in there for you. So right now, Andrew's going to kind of go through where we're at and where we're going as far as process.
So right now we're in the process of wrapping up our schematic design level documentation. So we're still kind of at that 15,000 foot level view. And then we'll really be at the end of this phase, really well defined of where our project is heading in the future. So what's coming next is our design development phase. And this will be really the crux of everything that we look at developing that design even further. Defining materials that go into the station, defining the actual lighting that goes into the station, defining the mechanical systems even further. So this is that level of that documentation moving forward after this phase. Then after that comes developing the details, the construction documents, so that we can be prepared to go out for bidding. I'll touch base a little bit about the CMAR process here in a little bit when we talk about schedule, but realistically, this is the time where we're taking our documents and putting them out for bid. Then we'll follow that with construction administration, actually moving the dirt on site, right? Getting that process going. So our Shibe Hattery team will be out there more than likely on a weekly basis and just observing the construction, making sure that everything's keeping with compliance and the safety standards on site. Touch a little bit about the Public Works project.
Yeah, so the additions that we are looking at doing over at the Public Works kind of campus site over there are crucial in the fire station construction. When we look at this site, if we are not able to temporarily relocate the fire station over here, we would lose that ability for the additional bays. We would lose the reduction of construction time. So it's really important to us that we do get these projects kind of set up, figure out what makes the most sense to get in both of these spaces and to get the additions constructed in a timely fashion. So we've got one addition to the Parks building. This is additional space that we're looking at. We're still working through the specifics of what's going to be inside the space. There would also be an addition over at the water maintenance shop. So we would have an addition over there. And then we are also looking at additional space for relocating some storage and things like that that are in a building that will be demolished. Along with the building additions on this site, we would be looking at some additional paving so that we could provide some of that access that the fire trucks are going to need in order to be able to pull through the site and things like that temporarily. Again, just want to make sure it's understood that, you know, we find that these projects are super important in order to expedite that construction timeline for the fire station and to get the additional amenities that mirroring that floor plan allows in the apparatus bay. So with that, we do want to look a little at the overall schedule. And Andrew's going to kind of touch and go through that for us.
Natalie spoke about the importance of these two projects moving in advance so that we can temporarily relocate the fire station services. Here's a very high-level schedule that incorporates all the project phases. The Cherry Street Firehouse is in the top, and this stretches along 2005 of where we started from, all the way to 2028. in this schedule. We are currently in the schematic design process and finishing that up. And currently for the CMAR solicitation, we are getting close to wrapping up that documentation so that we can put out our notice of intent for that RFQ. And then following that, continuing on with the design of the Cherry Street Firehouse. But really with that hinge pin of the other site, making sure that we start that as soon as possible here. I know I put a date in here for next week. Because if you see the timeline, then there's also where we would have that temporary move from the fire department out to that facility once that's been constructed, so that we have that water maintenance shop area for housing a few of the apparatus vehicles that need to be able to be there for response. Once that's done, then we can start on site at the Cherry Street location with the construction for the new firehouse. And then at the end, relocating them back. So this gives you a high-level aspect of what that schedule looks like overall and where these pieces and parts blend together so that we can accomplish the overall goal. Any questions?
Any questions?
So after tonight, we're going to, or hopefully we're going to be able to get started with the water maintenance shop and the public shop, so that those can get started, so that this can happen. I'm sorry, the park shop, so that this can happen, so that the fire station can happen.
Yep.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. And is there a time frame that we need to develop documents and get those out for bid? And we suspect, or we're planning, that'll be completed by the middle of next year. Those facilities constructed and ready to go?
Correct. So right now, the Parks building, the construction types and things like that, we'd be looking at kind of expedited construction schedules for those. As far as design goes, we would be looking to probably go out to bid yet in the fall of this year.
Okay.
In order to kind of get that fall bid window for these projects, which would then give until the spring or so of 2027 when we would expect those to be completed, and then kind of make the transition from one building to the next for the fire department.
Okay. So, and did I hear you correctly that the water expansion facility, is that the only place where the fire department will be housing the equipment, or will they also be doing it in the parks expansion?
So right now, we're trying to kind of isolate where everyone is, and I'm sure Brian can speak a little more to this, but for speed of response, we really want everyone kind of as close together as possible. So we are looking at trying to keep those isolated, the trucks and the equipment, any other apparatus isolated to that water maintenance addition.
Okay.
We may have to do some temporary things in order to make that happen, and not have to, I guess, overbuild that addition on the water maintenance facility. So we are looking at some temporary options as well. There's also questions about storage and things like that with the temporary relocation.
Okay. And this goes to the Parks Department expansion. That's really a facility needed for some of this storage, or for some of this additional space for that purpose, I believe, as well.
Well, and on top of that, I mean, the fire department's kind of booting Greg out of his building.
Yeah.
So we're having to relocate some of the water maintenance.
Okay.
Storage and equipment and things like that can be moved over to the Parks Edition temporarily.
Okay.
So there is kind of this like shift
Yes.
of components that does have to happen in order to try and keep the fire department as close to each other as possible.
Okay.
So just as a reminder, there's an existing shop down there now. I think it's 3 stalls, right, Greg? 3, yeah. That water department is using for storage. That would all be emptied in addition to the new space that we're adding on. What we would do then with the water equipment is relocate it to the new parks expansion. So Guy is waiting until until this whole master schedule is completed for him to move into his expanded space.
And was there already a plan to expand at a later date, but to expand the water shop?
Yes, we actually, both of these projects were in the FY27 CIP for the last couple of years. And what we are proposing is to nudge those up, start them now. So this isn't necessarily a new concept. It's just one we're moving with quicker and adding a little bit more complexity to it when we add the relocation of the fire department into it.
And I assume that building is going to be built to house the fire trucks, and probably wasn't the plan, for what was going to be at the water shop in that initial plan. What's the, how does that translate for the water department after the fire station, or, the fire trucks go back to the new station? Does that translate well, or?
I was going to say, we can all kind of take this. So essentially, you're looking at, 5 truck bays or so? 5 drive-through bays is what would be constructed with the water maintenance facility. So that allows the fire department to be able to park, at least 5 vehicles within that space. So the day-to-day, like, housing of on-duty staff and things like that may not necessarily happen within the Parks building itself. It may be temporarily located in a temporary facility right next to the building. So we're trying to minimize as many of the over-design components that would have to happen to that water maintenance facility, so that we're not, okay, this is now designed to the level of a fire department. Okay, well, we just spend all that money to design it to that level, but the parks or the water maintenance doesn't necessarily need it. So we're trying to eliminate a lot of that crossover by trying to keep things more broken down, if that makes sense.
Yeah. If I can add to that, the same setup of these drive-through garage bays are very similar to a fire station. We'll have the same size overhead doors that you would require for that, because you will have vehicles that may go in there that require that same size. The concrete will be designed the same way as the fire station, as well as some of the trench draining within inside those bays as well. The HVAC would be up to a minimum standard as well, but we know that that's only temporary means for the fire department apparatus vehicles. So we, like Natalie said, we don't want to over-design it, knowing that it may not be used for that purpose after the fire department has departed from that site, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I don't want to drag this out too long. I appreciate you guys being here. One of the things that comes up is the exhaust system that's in the fire department right now. Will one of those need to be installed in this water expansion, or because no one will be living there, sleeping there, it's not required? I'm giving that thumbs up back there. Okay.
Say, you want to?
Yeah, Mayor, I think you hit it on the head. The nice thing about this building is it's completely drive-through, right? And because we are not going to be living in the space or eating in the space or doing any of those kinds of things, we're very comfortable with it being very temporary.
Okay.
And just to kind of put a bow on as far as what we can house there, Greg and I did a little bit of measuring, and all 5 of these bays will be 65 feet deep. So we'll be able to park all of our trucks in this space because we can double stack a few of those smaller trucks.
Okay.
So Mayor, I've got a few things. So the majority of stuff inside, I'm guessing the way that you're building that building, code's not going to allow you to house people in there. That would be my guess. And so are we doing temporary trailers? What are we doing for housing?
Yeah,
for residents?
So essentially, if you're familiar with like temporary classrooms or something like that, they do have temporary like dorm buildings or living space buildings. And so we are currently looking at our location options for those. So we think we'll likely need one. And then there's the component of like training material storage and things like that. So Chief Platts is currently, they're going through what they have right now and figuring out what can be put in cold storage, what do we need access to on a daily basis, what do we need to be able to access, monthly and things like that. So they're working through the logistics of that. So there will be likely a storage Connex box or something from a storage standpoint, and a temporary dorm facility that would be located as close as we can really get them to what we're calling temporary apparatus bay.
I appreciate the thought that's going into this. The way I see this is we're paying ourselves rent instead of going out and paying someone else to house, which would be extremely expensive, and the fire department would be spread all over the place. We're paying ourselves forward for the move up of their construction pieces. So I've always been in favor of this as that discussion started. I guess a few things while we have you. I would love to sit here all night and pick your brain.
I'd love to talk about it all night.
Are there cancer risk reduction things, elements built into the station? So moving from the apparatus bay into living quarters,
Yes.
I'm assuming that's your specialty.
Yes, absolutely. So we look at compartmentalization throughout the firehouse and what we call safe zone design. So on the living quarters side, it's a completely separate air system versus the apparatus bay, right? That's number one. Number two is there's airlock spaces, almost like an interior vestibule between those areas. For the transition space, they have doors on them on both sides. It has positive pressure pushing the air away so that you're not getting that contaminants into the living quarters. And then on the apparatus bay side, looking at the exhaust systems there as well. Number one thing in the exhaust in the apparatus bay is our dedicated turnout gear storage room, because we know that those have PFAS and forever chemicals, and they're completely exhausting contaminants all the time. So we want to make sure that those are being exhausted and stored in proper location versus having them out in the apparatus bay or hanging in, additional storage closet somewhere. So yes, that is being absolutely addressed with the new design.
Excellent. Appreciate that. And then lastly, Mayor, I know for security reasons, your current gate system, I would take a look at that, because I can tell you right now, your firemen are going to be very anxious sitting there watching that slow gate open while they're trying to get to cardiac arrest. So we may have to look at maybe temporarily changing those. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just one thing from my seat. I think it's important to realize, okay, what does this mean to the public, right? Because we've had a lot of detailed information here. And just looking across the back row, there are 4 leaders that represent each of these departments. My assumption, my knowledge, my confidence is that all of these guys have weighed in on the plans. And so punchline for the public, costs are lower, leadership approved, and no interruption to services as well, right? So I think it's important that we bring that up and be like, hey, you know what? Here's what's going on detail-wise. Thank you all for all of the information. But then also we have our leadership team, and what a great example of the collaboration and what it takes to make the right investments at the right time to move this community forward. So thank you all.
And actually a better product in the end.
Agreed.
Yeah, with 7 pull-through bays is amazing.
Yeah, that's extraordinary stuff.
Yeah.
So.
That was going to be my last question, was now that we're doing 7 drive-through bays, does that affect the costs that we were originally proposed?
It does in the sense a little bit, but we're also gaining the cost savings of not having to phase the project.
Right.
So there is an offset, but at the same point, we're still in a better position when we're going after this, and it's a better product at the end.
Right.
So there's added value to that in the overall station design.
Thank you.
I had a question, kind of piggybacking on both of those. So the water plant and the Parks Department, those were already in the works for future. By doing it this way and pulling that forward and then changing the design of the fire station, for the knowledge of the residents, I guess, the cost savings, or does it come out as a wash overall, the whole project? Or are we looking, what are we looking at there, or is it too soon to tell?
So we're still kind of refining the cost for like the parks and the water maintenance building. we're still kind of in the early stages of planning those, so we're not entirely sure the full square footage that we're looking at and the full site disturbance and things. So it's a little difficult at this point to kind of be able to weigh that apples to apples, if that makes sense.
But I would say that our fire department budget is at 18 million. That's the number we're at. That hasn't changed. And the numbers that were in the CIP for both the parks and water shop were probably estimated a little bit low. But we knew, I mean, that's typically, until we get into the design piece of it, it's hard to put a number on that. So overall, that fire department budget, though, remains the same. And we anticipate that the water and parks shop projects will be within a close proximity to what we have planned. So, but to Natalie's point, those two we're still working on those two projects. Are you hearing me all right? It's a little difficult with all this.
Thank goodness we have my
hail coming down. So.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you both. Appreciate it. I'll move on to item B then, which is resolution number 2026-22. This is a resolution approving the standard form of agreement between the City of North Liberty and Shive Hattery, Inc. for the Parks Shop and Water Maintenance Shop additions improvements projects. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Fortney, seconded by Wason. Are there any additional questions? Tracy, could we have roll call, please?
Wason,
Aye.
Fortney,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Leibold.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Item 11 is the wastewater project design, and this is resolution number 2026-23, a resolution approving the task order number 26-01 between the City of North Liberty and Strand Associates, Inc. for the Phase 3 wastewater treatment modifications project. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
By Smith, seconded by Fortney. When do we work in questions or intros, or do we need to do anything?
I can give a brief summary, if that's okay.
That sounds great.
I will note that Jenny Ruddy is here this evening with Strand and Associates. She's been heavily involved in our water and wastewater projects over the years and is currently on the team working on the water project that we have under design. So if there are any technical questions, certainly she is more than capable, much more capable than I to answer those. And we also have Drew Lammers in the audience tonight, our wastewater superintendent. But what we're asking for this evening is the council to approve a design contract with Strand to start design on our wastewater upgrades. And you might remember in 2025, just a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, we approved facility plans for both water and wastewater. And these facility plans are important because they help us identify the needs as our community continues to grow for water and sewer. And so this particular project will be a substantial upgrade to our existing facility. Our current facility has the capacity to serve roughly 28,000 residents. The idea here is to have this new facility online by 2030, which will then serve over 41,000, or right at 41,000 residents. So the start of the project would be for us to approve this agreement and move forward with some preliminary design with Strand and Associates. I mentioned to a couple of you already, there's no pretty map with this project because frankly, there's nothing pretty about this project. It's a lot of technical and expansion work within the plant already. Jenny and Drew would love to talk your ear off about it, if you have questions on it, but the highlights of what the project includes is included in that scope of services within your packet.
Well, you ruined it for me. I was going to ask Jenny, because she drove all this way to give us at least a highlight, because those are very technical things in there, and for the audience, it is in the packet. But can you give us a couple of examples, Jenny, on how intense this work is in the beginning and why there's a lot of an investment needed at this point?
Yeah, so just to give you a little background too, this is kind of this is an expansion on your existing facility, which Ryan mentioned. The current process, which we called phase 1, was installed about 15, 20 years ago at this point. So these improvements are being phased as your population grows, so that your current population doesn't have to essentially put up the capital, support the construction of something that's going to support you for 20 years. So this is falling right in line of what we were expecting, like we talked about a year ago, of supporting growth every 10 years and incrementally expanding that wastewater plant to do that. So you guys actually have a very state-of-the-art facility. You have a facility that no one else in Iowa has as far as the type of treatment you're doing. And yes, if you ever want to come down to the wastewater plant, I'm sure Drew would love to give you a tour of that, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it too, but it's very advanced. And what that's doing though is ensuring that the treated water going to your receiving stream is meeting all your effluent qualities without a doubt. So this again is going to be expanding that existing process, and then also looking at how we can better handle and treat the byproducts that come from that process that currently are land applied.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Do you have any questions for the expert while she's here?
Just a quick one from me. If, let's say, North Liberty keeps expanding west, what we're doing here in this location, we're good to go as far as, all that stuff to the west is going to connect up here, or does it make sense to do something different as we go west?
Yeah, so there's, like you said, there's kind of two reasons why we expand a plant or change a plant. One is growth, and then the other is changing regulations. And so based on what we know today, I'm not anticipating that there's anything major. I don't have a crystal ball, but anything major that would change how we have to treat the wastewater. As you continue to grow, there is room at the existing treatment site to at least support the next 20, I think 30 years off the top of my head here, of continued growth, so through 2050, and possibly also 2060. Now, that being said, just like computers and anything else, technology changes over time. And so we tend to get more advanced and smaller footprint, things like that. So I'm not making any guarantees, but it is possible that there is opportunities to support past that time frame, but time will tell as our technology changes for treatment.
I would add on that note, I think there are a couple variables there as well, because while the plant could treat what Jenny's talking about, getting it there is a whole nother challenge. And so when you look west of I-380 as an example, there are a number of lift stations and significant investment in a collection system that would have to be made. And so at that point, when that time comes, we may evaluate whether or not another plant is more reasonable than bringing it all over to this one, I think. But when that time comes, we'll have to consider that.
But our population could get to 40,000 staying east of 380?
Yes, I believe it could.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Mayor, the talk of this facility, a long time ago was how expensive it was. I was here just starting my residency here about that time. And if we go back to what Councilor Fortney was talking about with the League of Women Voters and their topic on water quality, we're it. There's nobody discharging water cleaner than we are outside of our wastewater treatment facility. But that came at a cost. Mm-hmm. And so as we look at this expansion, I guess my question, and maybe it can't be answered tonight, but as we're expanding and the upgrades in the technology, are we looking at a need to change how we're treating so that it remains affordable? Or are we able to stay at the highest quality in the state on discharge with affordable rates? Because I don't want to see us necessarily do the same that we did 15 and 20 years ago, where, because you said it in your first few sentences, we're doing this incrementally so that those of us who are living here are not paying for those 50 years from now. So I guess that's my question with the technology.
Yeah, so at each 10 years or so, when we're reevaluating where we're at and what the original plan is going forward of if we should stay on that track or not, that's what that facility plan is for that we completed last year.
Okay.
So every time that you get to the next phase of whether or not it makes sense to continue down that path, there's a facility plan that needs to happen so that we make sure that we're still on track, but also is this the best course of action going forward? So that being said, the kind of the heart of the plant, which is the membrane bioreactor, if you've heard that term before, that decision that was made, 15, 20 years ago, now going forward, it's less expensive to continue to expand that part of the process than to completely abandon what you already have and do something different. Excellent. That being said, there's several other support facilities that we are evaluating and looking at what makes the best sense, knowing what we need to treat, but also what are the options for doing that, because there's many ways of doing it. And so all those other support processes we're working through as part of the design, as part of planning, to do what makes the most sense, but also with respect to the budget as well.
I would add that part of the facility plan was a long-range financial model, and it was showing rate increases as we come up to these projects, because this particular project we're talking close to $50 million. So is it affordable? It's the best option. It's the most affordable, but it's going to be expensive. And this isn't a North Liberty challenge.
Right.
This is, you're seeing these types of investments all over the state to treat wastewater.
Yeah, and I guess one other thing to add too with the facility plan is we were working through that and we were seeing our opinion of costs coming through what they were. We did make some changes to what phases things occurred in that allowed us to continue to meet what we need to meet the discharge permit, which ultimately is what the city is held to from DNR's standpoint, but then help balance the costs out or make this project less expensive than what it would have otherwise been. So we're always looking at that because we, like you, are cognizant and want to make sure that that we're being responsible with how we're moving forward.
Well, North Liberty, Andrew and his staff have been the case study of how to make those membranes last a lot longer than what the manufacturer even stated. And there's people coming here from all over to ask him how he's doing it.
Yeah, you guys have one of the cleanest wastewater plants in the state of Iowa, so they do a great job with it.
That was a great question. I'm glad you asked that. Are there any others? Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, you bet. Anytime. Thanks.
Thanks, Drew. With that, are there any other questions? Tracy, can we move on to roll call, please?
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Fortney.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you both. Item 12 is a splash pad project for Centennial Park Phase 2. And item A is public hearing regarding proposed plans, specifications, and estimate of cost for the Centennial Park Phase 2 project. Not seeing anyone in the audience wishing to address council. Tracy, did we receive any information? I will close the public hearing and move to item B, which is resolution number 2026-24. This is a resolution finally approving and confirming plans, specifications, and estimate of cost for the Centennial Park Phase 2 improvements projects. Could I get a motion for consideration first, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Park, seconded by Leibold. Josiah, I think maybe you've been queued up to give us a little bit of an overview of this.
Got a couple slides here
Thank you.
for the group to give you a feel for the splash pad and how it lays out here. This is part of the Centennial Park Master Plan. It's Phase 2. The event center was Phase 1. Splash pad is here. You can see the event center there in the back or at the top of the image. You can see the existing playground to the right. This grass area here between the 2 and the loop road. We've got a great splash pad here with all sorts of amenities, some sidewalks and things to connect the event center to the splash pad and to the parking lot and the playground. Here's kind of a zoomed in view. You can see the shelter in the back. The building houses restrooms, 4 restrooms on each side. You can see the drinking fountain there. It's got the overhang there for the picnic and shelter area. Not the shelter, the picnic area. In the back of the building, there's some storage room, not only for like the event center and things for them to store materials, but for the parks department, they've got a garage space in there for storage and maybe park like a gator or something, equipment that they use. Inside the center of the building, getting kind of ahead of myself, but there you go. You can see this overview of what the building looks like. In the middle, you've got some mechanical room. You've got a mechanical room. You've got chemical storage. All the guts basically to support the splash pad operation. You can see the restrooms on the side and the green garage spaces and storage spaces. I'll go back to this one. A lot of features. Not only will it be great because of the size and how dynamic everything is, but a lot of cool different water features there that are planned. You can see the shade structures and things and limestone blocks and seating areas. So real nice space to be in. And then I'll just wrap it up. Here's a couple rendering images of what this would look like. See the playground there in the back in the main parking lot. You can see the event center there off to the left in the background. And that's it. So, yeah, feel free to ask any questions, but just wanted to give you a feel for like what is this? What's it going to look like? What's it include?
George, thank you for this information. It looks really just incredible, actually. One question I had, is there thought or was it considered for concessions at all? I know when you get to the pool here in town that the concessions is a nice amenity, but I also know there's staffing and then there's stocking and different things like that, just out of curiosity, because if I saw it, somebody else is going to ask about it, is basically what I'm thinking.
We talked about it, and to your point, staffing is an issue.
Yeah.
And then having it out, having the concessions out here, obviously it'd be in the building, but it could potentially be a security issue, people wanting to get in. And frankly, the risk just isn't worth the reward from a concessions standpoint. People can bring their own stuff in.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the consideration. At least,
But people will be able to bring their own picnics and whatnot, sure. And I saw, I believe it was called a wading pool. Just out of curiosity, about how deep is that?
In the upper right there, the water journey tide pool.
Yeah, or the tide pool. Yeah, that's what I was.
I think that is more low key right there. Just it's not like a pool.
Yeah, probably ankle deep or so.
Yeah, less than ankle at the highest. The whole idea here is no lifeguards.
Oh.
Under an inch?
It's under an inch.
Got it.
I think the water journey is more if you're like 4 years old or 5.
I'm looking at the spray can.
Is there
rules out there, Paul?
Is there space? Is there changing space either for young ones or like changing of clothes in the bathroom space, or is it just strictly toilet space and hand washing? Because it's not a locker room, right?
It's not a locker room. You can kind of see there's 2 restrooms on the top of the building and 2 on the bottom. One has adult changing table, so I assume is a bigger maneuverability space, right, Natalie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All 4 restrooms are.
We have microphones, but they might not be that powerful.
Yeah. So all 4 restrooms are ADA compliant. So there is enough room to maneuver around within them. So we wouldn't necessarily call them a dressing room per se. The larger restrooms, they do have an adjustable adult changing station or table in them. So typically those tables are pushed up against the wall, so they're not taking up that space that they would when they're down. So there is a pretty good amount of space when you consider being able to kind of walk in there, change your clothes, and come back out. So
individual private use, locked door, not.
Correct. They have indicators on them to say whether or not they're occupied and that kind of thing as well.
And then Mayor, lastly, with usually splash pads are water in, up, and then out. I'm guessing there's no reclaim. It's just pumped.
Oh, this is reclaimed.
Yeah.
So reclaimed, treated, and reused?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also a secondary UV system as well for cleaning and treating the water.
Excellent.
This, of course, is much bigger than our current one, which is a dump on the ground.
Right.
But this one is reusable.
Excellent.
Yeah. On that first slide there, there is down in the corner, it explains that you're looking at 8,000 square feet of colored pavement for that splash pad area.
Is some of that soft rubber, or it's all concrete?
It's a combination of. So there are some softer spots, specifically when you get to the large central play feature. The water play structure with slide kind of in the middle there. Because it has a slide, and the slide's only, I want to say it's like less than 3 feet is the slide. But because it has a slide, it does require a softened landing space. And because it has elevated platform, it also requires that softened kind of fall protection that a playground in general would require. So it's a combination of soft spaces depending on the different components mixed with a coloring, I guess, finish, top coating. Yeah.
And like the one we have now is on demand. So you go push the button and it'll run for a certain amount of time. On rainy days like this, is it going to be controlled remotely by staff? Is it going to run all the time? Like, what's the idea there?
So some of the features do have like a push to operate kind of situation. There are other features that will be running all the time or are on timers to kind of go off in certain time periods. So there's kind of a combination thereof. There is a controls panel. I'm not entirely sure if that can be app controlled or if it has to be set timers wise and such from within the building.
Maybe something to look at, Ryan, because if I don't know what the cost savings would be over the season, but if it's it's a few $1,000s on a control that staff can shut off when it's raining for 3 straight days, it might pay for itself. Just an idea.
Yeah, I agree.
So how much water a day is this going to run, you think?
I do not know that off the top of my head.
So it'd be just interesting how much, and then how much we think we can reclaim.
Right.
So.
And is this strictly for the daytime, or is there going to be some lights?
Park hours.
Yeah.
Park hours.
Yeah. So realistically, there are site lights that are kind of general area lights, and then there are typically we call them wall packs up against the building, but it would be park hours.
Okay.
And actually, saying that now, we still need to talk a bit about that because I'm not sure how long we allow the Penn Meadows one to operate. I'm not sure we allow them after dark, so I'll get back to you on that.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, this is exciting. Are there any other questions? Tracy, could we have roll call, please?
Smith,
Aye.
Fortney,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you again. Item 13 is UCD Holdings LLC proposed Lot 2, Urban Central District, Part 2, preliminary site plan. And we'll start with staff and commission recommendations, Russ.
Thank you, Mayor. I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of go over, refresher on some of the UCD development. So this is Urban Central District. The area in red is the Urban Central District, but it is the commercial and residential portion. And the area that's circled in blue would be the residential structures in the commercial residential structure. This is the Urban Central District, is what we would call a horizontal mixed-use development, as opposed to a vertical mixed-use development. A vertical mixed-use would be like commercial on the first floor and residential above. These are separated buildings, so we call them horizontal mixed-use in the same development. The urban lofts is to the east side of the Muddy Creek there, and nothing that we're seeing tonight, but planning for that is still ongoing. Just to give you an idea of where the lots that you are considering for approval are tonight, this is Lot 2. This is the medical facility. Lot 3 is the commercial building. And then Lot 6 is the multifamily building. So a pretty big chunk of the Urban Central District is being considered tonight and will hopefully be under construction here soon. Just a couple other things that we're seeing with the Urban Central District, trail connections. I highlighted those in green. Currently, we don't even have a sidewalk on the east side of Ranshaw, so we would have an 8-foot wide trail on the east side, as well as an east-west trail that connects from that trail on Ranshaw to the North Ridge Trail adjacent to Muddy Creek. And then as part of this, we would look to partner with the developer to extend that 8-foot wide trail up to Cherry Street, and then also construct a 5 or 6 foot wide sidewalk along the south side of Cherry Street, really ultimately connecting all of those missing links that just been missing for so many years. And again, we'll have this street connection. It'll be a private street that will connect from Commercial Drive, make its way through the development, and you'll be able to go out onto Ranshaw, or you'll be able to meander through up to Cherry Street. It will connect up to Cherry Street. I'm kind of thankful that there is a little bit of twists and turns to get out of Cherry Street. I think we all recognize with the community center, people use that as a cut through, and sometimes you just make it a little bit more of a pain. They'll just choose to stick to the main roads, which would probably be a better thing than just, I'm sure they'd love to have a lot of traffic into the development as long as they're shopping there, just not cutting through the development. And then please recall in the upcoming CIP, we have this connection down to Zeller. And so you'll be able to actually turn off of Zeller and turn into the development. So the timing of that's pretty great. I'm kind of back to Lot 2. It's zone CUC3, which is specific to this area. That's our central urban high intensity district. Future land use is urban high intensity, and I probably won't go through this, all of them, but they're all the same zoning and same land use. And here's a site plan. They were able to, we reduced some of the setbacks in the CUC3. It's 10 feet. And they've actually pushed that building all the way up to Ranshaw, which I really appreciate. Planners love that. So they'd be on the north side of the main drive coming into the development. And I really think with that reduced setback, even though it's kind of the back of the building, they've done some nice design features. It's really going to have a nice presence on Ranshaw Way, as opposed to being set, you know, way back with a large parking area in front. It's just a grading plan. Here is some design renderings of what the building would look like. I'll talk a little bit about this in a second, but I did work with Brandon and his team to kind of work on some enhancements to this design, really being a front door to the development that I think are reflected here that I'm pretty happy about. And again, some other renderings showing it. This is a large building. It's like 32,000 square feet, so it's a 3-story building. So this is what we consider a significant anchor building in the development. We don't have any objections that were received. We do have one finding that the request achieves consistency with approval standards, and the Planning Commission accepted that listed finding and forwards the request to the City Council with a recommendation for approval. And that vote was unanimous 6-0. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Russ. Are there any questions?
I was curious with the smaller setback off Ranshaw. Are we concerned about, like, on Commercial Drive and Cherry Street, they have the, 2-3 feet tall brick on either side of the road as you're turning on those roads off Rancho.
Oh,
I guess my concern is like if a car, it's really close to the road there. If a car, I'm sure the odds are slim, but if a car left the roadway and could drive right into the building, has there been any, discussions about that or anything that could go there to prevent that from happening?
No, I know outside of, and if I know that happened on front Dubuque Street, yeah, and I probably think, well, that probably wouldn't happen, but it does, and I don't know that we could prevent all of those things. And no, just this is, instead of a 25-foot setback, it's been reduced down to 10. I think it's actually a little bit more than 10 because there's an overhang, but it's not significant. But sure, it could happen.
I mean, I'd add from the street network perspective, there's clear zones on streets based on type and speed. And I mean, it's moved up, but it's still outside of what are the standard design for clear zones for roadways and recovery of vehicles. So
yeah, and
it's like designing you can't design for everything, obviously, but
sure.
And it's okay to have a trail right there too, right?
Yeah.
For people, it's safe enough for people to walk by it, right?
That's a good point.
For some context, other buildings that are on Rancho Way to the north or to the south, the post office, for example, is this as close as the post office is?
Marginally. I think the post office may be at a 25-foot setback where this is at like 12 feet. So it's marginal.
Okay, so it could be closer than that. Okay, and then, so if we're going north, then I don't think any of those buildings are close to Rancho. Okay.
As far as the entrances into the UCD, is there any, plan for signage
Great question. Well, the one thing that we do have, this will be a similar like streetscape that we have down the street close to Fairway, where it's the brick crossing and then landscape islands on either, and then yes, I think there would be development signage at the entranceway.
Entrance and building, or not allowed on the building with entrance?
We'd have them on the entrance and building. Yep. And I'll show you a neat example here in a couple other slides on some of the other development, I think, of the overall vision being achieved.
So when this gets built, and maybe it's more of a Brandon question, but you're going to just put that roadway all the way in and then build around the road and fill these things in, or?
Yeah, we're going to do a whole lot of road construction beforehand.
So that it'll be able to go, the people who are going to be in the building, housing, they'll be able to get out onto the Commerce, and they won't have to go all the way back up and around.
Yeah, they'll have 3, maybe even 4 access points.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for Russ? Thank you. Brandon, anything else to add?
Yeah, no presentation, but certainly happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Okay. I have a question that'll come up for Lot 3 and Lot 6, but I'll just give you a heads up right now. There's a terrific trail that's across the southern part of this lot, and obviously the one on Rancho Way. Pedestrian accessibility is not really that much of a concern on this lot, but as we get to 3 and 6, can you keep that in the back of your mind and point that out to me where sidewalks are from the inside of the development out to Rancho?
Yeah.
So you can address it now or wait until we get to the plot plans.
We will have multiple crosswalks, but we'll definitely have to highlight those.
Okay.
It'll be noticed. Some of the further details we go into the entire development, right, is we'll have some, I'll call them picture points or opportunities where along the walking trail there'll be like a designated place for people to sit, and that'll be strategically located where those crosswalks are. So it'll be very noticeable.
And so I understand that for this lot, but when we get to Lot 3 and Lot 6 internally, there won't be picture points.
So yeah, if we go, I don't know if we can really see, but it'll be on the east side of the strip centers that sit down to the south. It'll run north-south, and then it'll connect up that way. So basically along the front of all of the commercial buildings, we'll have a sidewalk that will connect and not go out into the parking lot. Does that make sense?
Sort of, but I guess maybe that's my point. Is there any internal sidewalk coming from that internal street to these businesses?
There is on the north side of this plan, and then there will be on the far south side that runs all the way along the southern part, but there will be nothing in the internal portion of the parking lot.
Okay. And does that concern you at all? Or how difficult? I mean, you talk about crosswalks and things like that, but people, for example, wanting to walk here from the inside are going to be walking across parking lots. There won't be a sidewalk or a path for them to walk on internally.
Talking about individuals that like get out of their car?
Yeah, or if they're in this, what's going to be developed in Lot 6 here, if they're walking up, they have to go up to the bike path or they have to go down to the commercial drive to make their way out. There's not a protected path to walk from the east to the west through those parking lots.
Okay.
Is that a possibility?
The one day I tell John Marner from MMS he doesn't need to attend.
Yeah.
That would be an MMS question.
Yeah.
So I don't know that answer.
He is here quite a bit and doesn't have to go through this. So you might owe him a little bit. Like I said, I'm okay on Lot 3 because it's a pretty awesome trail that's going to be right there.
Sure.
But as we get deeper into these other lots, there's just not a pedestrian friendly way, it seems, to get from that internal street to these commercial buildings.
And maybe what we can do is when we go on to the next one, I can highlight where those are.
That'd be great.
To make sure that you see the whole picture.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I'll move on to item C for item 13, which is resolution number 2026-25. And this is a resolution approving the preliminary site plan for Urban Central District Part 2, proposed Lot 2, North Liberty, Iowa. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
By Leibold, seconded by Fortney. Anything additional right now on this one?
Mayor, obviously not a design professional, but when I look at places like Costco, it's, once you park, it's all parking lot, but they have paintings and curb checks and things that funnel, people to a certain area. I don't know if that's possible if there's no built-in sidewalks, but actually marked paving walkways through the parking lot is just an idea.
Anything else? Tracy, could we have roll call, please?
Smith,
Aye.
Fortney,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 14 then is UCD Holdings LLC proposed Lot 3, Urban Central District Part 2 preliminary site plan. Back to you, Russ.
Okay, a similar presentation. This would be on the south side of the street. This is, I believe it was over a 10,000 square foot commercial multi-tenant building with a drive-through. And again, here it is for Lot 3. Again, same zoning, same future land use. Here's that site plan that you see showing that location there. I do kind of think, thinking about this as we kind of reviewed it. I mean, you have the 8-foot sidewalk along Ranchaw. You'll have the 5-foot sidewalk along north side of Commercial Drive. And I appreciate what you said, Mayor. Probably no more than probably the most. And I think what we thought about was trying to link up those on the east side of those buildings, trying to make sure there's a link so that the pedestrian can connect, kind of going northward of that. I appreciate what you're saying if they just kind of started up in the middle part of the property and tried to go due east, but we try and say, okay, if they went north, they could go to that one, or south to that sidewalk, and then access that pedestrian way on the east side of those buildings that would be linked up. And I think if I remember correctly, that's what we were thinking. But I'm just sorry, wanted to add that real quick. Again, grading plan. Here is kind of some renderings of what the building would look like. And again, west elevation kind of facing Ranchaw, and then north elevation, you can kind of see the color and the renderings kind of add that pop. And what we really talked about with this is just kind of trying to create some flair, for lack of a better phrase, just kind of at that entranceway to kind of give it a feeling of a little bit more of an urban feeling. And I think, as I mentioned, I kind of challenged Brandon and his team to kind of enhance the design a little bit. I think they responded to some, what I would call some subtle design changes. And again, And here's on the left kind of what the initial submission looked like. And to the right is what the current proposal is. And they're very subtle, but trying to emphasize that corner of the building at the entrance road. And it's difficult to see here, but increase the height of the building a little bit to add more prominence and to kind of try to be in scale with the building on the north side a little bit. And then kind of also kind of that initial submission for lot 2 was this is the initial submission on the left, and this is on the right. And I just kind of wanted to bring these together to kind of show kind of really this, trying to create this feature kind of at that main entrance to kind of give it this a unique character is really what really I thought we had been talking about all this time with UCD. And I really think they've done a pretty good job of it. Again, no objections were received for this request either. Similar finding that it achieves consistency with approval standards, and the Planning Commission recommends that the forward the request to the City Council with a recommendation for approval, and that recommendation was 6-0 as well.
All right, so I don't want to beat this anymore one more time, but tell me about pedestrian access to this lot. I see it coming in on the northwest corner up there, but I don't believe I see anything else for pedestrian access coming in to this and then the 2 lots to the south until you get down to that corner again. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
If you talk about public sidewalks, it'd be on the north side of Commercial Drive, west side of Rancho. We'd also look to make a pedestrian connection along the frontage of those buildings that those all connect. But you're right, if it's a mid-block kind of crossing, there is no, at that point, dedicated pedestrian access.
Yeah. And, you know, if this is going to be a walkable, you know, part of the city, I feel we need to get folks from that internal street to those buildings, and even if they're just in the parking lot. Brent used Costco as an example, but they have a really fantastic sidewalk right down the middle of their parking lot, so people aren't walking out where people are driving. It's really safe, and it's out of the way. And I think that really, something like that, I mean, it might take up some parking spaces. I'm not sure what I'm asking to be done here, but something accessible like that, so people have a protected path through a parking space like that, a parking lot. A couple of times might be, I think it would be really helpful considering all of the pedestrian activity we're promoting in this area.
I understand entirely what you're looking for. And I think it can be done.
Okay.
Relatively easily.
I'll take that. Are there any other questions for Russ?
More of a comment from me, the artistic element of that building, I really appreciate that. And like he said, you know, from the beginning, this was always going to be like a, you know, have that sort of vibe. And, you know, I even think about, you know, our public art initiative, and if there's, you know, somewhere a possibility within this, you know, that could be something like that too. But I love to see that, and would love to see it continue, just as far as some of that creativity and take some chances. They're already beautiful buildings. I will say that, and they look great. But a little flair never hurt anybody. Yes, me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Russ, how deep are those stormwater retention basins? And you know what I'm going to ask.
These are wet ponds. Yeah.
Northeast. Are they going to be wet ponds or dry?
I believe they are wet, right?
Excellent.
No. Oh, they're dry. I'm sorry.
Not good.
The,
I don't like that at all.
no,
What's
go back to the,
what's the design standard for that? And how's it going to look in the middle of July when
that
it's
one right
been
there
95 degrees for
in the upper
4
right.
weeks? The upper right.
Yeah, that would be dry
Well, the first one for lot 2.
And
for lot 2.
I always go back to the detention basin at Heritage Christian. It's awful. And the city is constantly on the school about mowing it. And it looks terrible. This has been a really sticky thing with me for a really long time. And I think and this isn't on Brandon, this is on us as staff. Our design standards for these have to change because they are ugly as sin. And especially in a really nice development like this, it is going to stick out like a sore thumb. If there's not plantings that can both live when there's stormwater like tonight, where it will fast rise, come up, and then when it recedes, it'll still look nice and not look like a trash deposit bin when all the plastic bags come through the storm sewers after washing the streets off.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. If it's not maintained, then it will be bad. I do recall that the planting plan for that one is like a low maintenance, low water type of mix. It's not just seed that's out there. It's for that. But regardless of that, if it's not maintained, yes, then that will be the outcome.
What is the difference, like, to create one that does fill up with water as opposed to be dry? Is it a huge difference?
Well, it's the difference in the depth of it and the size it takes on the site, because in order to get deep enough to have enough standing water to maintain what you need, so that doesn't like atrophy or, we're usually looking for most of it's 10 feet deep. So when we get in a spot like this, not just from the space perspective, but the depth of the water table and what we're dealing with, in order to do that, you'd be digging down below where the water flows, if that makes sense. So we're in a spot here where we're very near Muddy Creek. We're very near where all the water's bottoming out. And so that would be the challenge here, both depth and space. Yeah.
And for the record, the storm sirens in Johnson County are going off because of what looks like something near West Branch. So we're safe here. We have a message into our police or our fire chief, though, just to confirm that for us.
Wouldn't be the first time, though. We know exactly where.
Exactly. Unfortunately, we've done this before, haven't we, Brian?
Comment from me just on to Brandon and your team and Russ and your team. I really appreciated the initial and then the updated views. I think that collaboration, that understanding, that feedback, incorporating that is really just a great example of, hey, you know what? We all want the right things here. We're all working towards the right things. Let's make sure that it is right. So thank you to you, and thank you to you, Russ, and your teams as well, because I think it's a significant improvement from what the initial and where we're at presently. So thank you.
Credit to their team. They were super responsive, and of course we'd love to talk about it. Jumped right on a quick meeting, and so it probably was the easiest feedback I've ever gotten, and reacted right away. So made my life a lot easier.
Are there any other questions for Brandon? I think we've kind of covered everything at once here. I'll move on to item C then, is resolution number 2026-26. This is a resolution approving the preliminary site plan for Urban Central District Part 2, proposed Lot 3, North Liberty, Iowa. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
By Park, second by Leibold. Are there any other questions?
Mayor, I'll just make clarification with Brandon being here and with those at home. My criticism tonight is of our current internal processes and what I don't like about them, not about this particular developer. He has followed the rules. I'm looking to change those rules in the future.
Anything else? Tracy, could we have a roll call, please?
Park,
Aye.
Fortney,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Leibold.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And item 15 is UCD Holdings LLC, proposed Lot 6, Urban Central District Part 2 preliminary site plan.
Okay.
One more time, Russ.
One more time. This is so this would be the last one. This would be Lot 6. This would be adjacent to Commercial Drive. This is a 4-story building over one level of parking. So it's a pretty significant building. It's going to add, I think, a lot of presence There'll be a similar building constructed adjacent to Cherry. But again, just to remind you, this is where Lot 6 would be. Same zoning, same land use. And again, the footprint of the building. I would note in the CUC3, when we talked about reduced setbacks, in this case, in the zoning district, as you get above 35 feet, it has normally a 10-foot setback adjacent to residential, but if you increase the height, for every foot of building height above 30 feet, you need an additional setback. And so that had the effect of pushing the building a little bit further west instead of crowding that property line, which I think is a good thing. And I'm happy about the provision. Certainly you don't want a towering building, right next to the property line. So pushing that away, I think, was a good provision that was added to the ordinance. Here are the building renderings. They are taking advantage of some of the recent changes that this council approved, so I know they're appreciative of that. But again, emphasizes some other things like increasing the height of the building, making the building project a little bit more than just focusing on masonry. And I think this is an outstanding example of some design creativity that just isn't limited to masonry, and I think this is going to look great. Again, no objections received, and the Planning Commission, similar, unanimous. One finding achieved consistency with our approval standards and forwarded the request to the City Council with a unanimous recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any last questions for Russ? For Brendan?
Yeah, I just had one quick question, and easy enough. So for lots 4 and 5, as you know, you don't have anything there yet. Are you going to probably be working on these fairly soon, or is that just going to be kind of see how things go? Or
Yeah, our expectation, I think, is you would probably see everything we talked about going vertical this year. Yeah, we've still got some horizontal infrastructure that we've got to finish putting in. We didn't quite get everything done last year, but yeah, I think everything's going to go vertical pretty quick.
All right. So yeah, I just was concerned that maybe it would be an empty lot sitting there, and
yeah, we're going to do our best to go as fast as possible.
On the ones tonight, everything that's gotten approved tonight, are you ready to go vertical on these? Or are we gonna?
Yes, close. The medical facility will happen just as soon as we can make happen. The strip center will be right behind that, and then the third phase would be this building. That's probably the only one I would hesitate on. On whether that's late summer or if we can get it in right before the frost, somewhere in that range.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brendan.
Just one more comment from me, and it's to Brandon and staff. This is a significant effort, and I think it was in our packet and called out as much to get all of this, to the initial spot. B, now we're starting to see what it looks like from an artist representation. We're talking about going vertical. The amount of lift and investment and just effort to get to this spot. Congratulations to you, Brandon, your team, and then our internal True North Liberty team as well, because this is something that's going to outlast all of us, right? So
appreciate that.
Congratulations on a legacy investment here.
Thank you.
Item C is resolution number 2026-27. This is a resolution approving the preliminary site plan for Urban Central District Part 2, proposed lot 6, North Liberty, Iowa. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Leibold, seconded by Wason. Sorry, Tanya. Are there any other questions? Tracy, could we have roll call?
Courtney,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Leibold.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thanks, Brendan. Item 16 is old business. Anything for us to rehash? 17 is new. Sorry, Paul.
No, it's all good. I saw we made a payment to the group creative service, and so I just wanted to hear if we've had any, what the status is on applications for that steering committee and how that's coming.
Yeah, the mayor and I are going to be talking about that on Thursday. There's no update at this point. So once we approved the contract, we owed them a retainer, basically, or a first installment.
Okay.
Now we'll get going on it. So nothing new on that at this moment.
And then just real quick, one of the other things about the packet was what the facilities manager has been up to. And it was a lot. And so I think, I'm sure everybody's guy included is happy about all the work that's happening work being done by the facilities manager. So just pointing that out.
Thank you.
Item 17, new business. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.